Good morning. I'm Sarah Adi Coleman. I'm the Director of the Tourism Division for the North Dakota Department of Commerce. Want to welcome you to our annual Tourism Marketing Summit. This summit is something that we normally hold every year to really kind of evaluate the past year, talk about what worked, what didn't with our marketing partners and our tourism providers from across the state. And then we really look forward to the next year. And so because the timing worked perfectly with, this is the time of year we always do it, it worked perfectly with the Main Street Summit. We thought it would be a great time to just kind of meld the two together. So I'm glad, I know we have a lot of our tourism providers out there attending, but I think we have some other folks too. So I'm excited to have other people willing and interested in learning kind of what we've done and kind of what we're looking at going forward. We all understand we are in uncharted territory, right? Due to the COVID pandemic, it's just a different world. Our goal today is to present our best plan moving forward. So we really want to position the state as the state for safe and worry-free travel. And today we will present the facts and be honest. To be honest, some of the facts are that we don't know. But we are going to try to avoid as many of the words on this slide as we possibly can. We pledge to not dwell on the cancellations and the uncertainty and the unprecedented word that we've heard over and over again. Instead, we really want to look at opportunity. And we know you're also tired of hearing the words agile and fluid and responsive and nimble, but those really are the themes that will prevail looking forward to opportunities that we have in 2021. And to start us all off here this morning, I'm going to kick it over to Heather Lemoyne. As most of you know, she has been sharing statistics and trends with us throughout this whole pandemic, and has really done a great job of updating us on our tourism chats. And so she's going to kick it off with kind of the current environment and where we're at right now. Heather?
Well, good morning, everyone. So as many of you know, in March, we started hosting weekly industry summits. And even though these have transitioned to monthly now, this is our 16th industry update. And, or I should say the industry update that's related to the pandemic. Our calls, we plan for them to continue as long as their demand, and we invite all tourism, partners and practitioners to join us. A couple of highlights since our last update. The COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in over, almost $400 billion in losses for the U.S. travel industry. As seen globally, when travel and tourism stops, the rest of the economy stops. But we feel, and U.S. Travel has also said, North Dakota is one of the states best positioned for a rebound with competitive advantages that align with consumer priorities. And we just heard that from Anna Blount and the research that Longwoods has done. One of the illustrations in the data that really shows that we're well positioned is Labor Day. Highway traffic in North Dakota Labor Day was really equal to 2019. The U.S. Travel Association has been working with the Oxford economics company, Tourism Economics, on national visitor spending impacts. In North Dakota, we've been working with Tourism Economics since 2015, and we know that they have really good insight into our market. So here in North Dakota, the national emergency was declared on March 11th, and visitor spending, you can see, immediately declined. But North Dakota has fared better than the U.S. as a whole, and overall, weekly travel spending has been about 50% of what we consider normal here. Now, the impact of that lost visitation and the visitor spending in North Dakota, so while the U.S. as a whole is nearing that 400 billion mark, the loss here now equals 922 million. And that loss in visitor spending also equals a loss in tax revenue. So through September 26, North Dakota has lost 131 million in the tax revenue from decreased visitor spending in the state. The losses in visitation and the visitor spending really hit the hardest in April and May. At one point, North Dakota and the states in our region were seeing 80% losses compared to last year. But we also have rebounded faster than other parts of the nation. In terms of best performing markets, North Dakota ranks 24th out of 52, which includes the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico. And this isn't to say that we're the 24th most profitable, but that our losses haven't been as significant as half of our competitive states. And here I just compare the travel spending change kind of in our region, and I'm sure it doesn't surprise most of you that Minnesota has been hardest impacted because they are really well known for that urban metro area with a lot of their price points being very populated visitor attractions. So this slide is from a company called C-Source, and they track all travel patterns in the United States through cell phone and GPS data. And without a doubt, you can see that travel and tourism has taken a hit in North Dakota, a significant hit this year. When we compare traffic in 2019 to 2020, we see that the target market and how travel comes to North Dakota, that historically east to west, the market has stayed the same. We're just seeing, lesser visitation, less saturation. So getting into some of our visitation metrics, after years of declining border crossings due to that discrepancy in the value of the dollar, we started off 2020 really strong. But that March 21st border closure and the pandemic has now cost North Dakota more than 400,000 visitor trips from Canada. Similarly, deplanements at North Dakota commercial flight airports also started the year ahead of 2019 before suffering some tremendous declines. The good news here is that according to the North Dakota Aeronautics Commission, our passenger retention in North Dakota remains above the national average. This look at 2019 and 2020 statewide hotel occupancy puts into perspective that really sharp decline that we saw in hotel stays in March and April, and subsequently our steady rebound. The statewide August occupancy was 51%, which is 24% down from a year ago, but we really are trending in the right direction, and our hope is to really continue that. There have been some areas of the state that have had stronger hotel occupancy than others, and I'm going to single out Stark County and that Dickinson area. And the North Dakota Department of Transportation has noted that while highway travel is 20 to 30% down statewide, that area around the North Dakota Badlands and North Dakota National Park, they actually saw 60% highway increases, traffic increases this summer. And so we do see some of that in the hotel occupancy in Stark County as well. So there's a lot of positive visitation indicators that are on the horizon. So Theodore Roosevelt National Park, although their year-to-date visitation is down about 13%, in August, they had the most visits that the national park has had in 30 years for that month. For the North Dakota State Parks, annual passes increased 16%. And hunting and fishing license sales are up in nearly every category. Roger Dow, who is the president and CEO of the U.S. Travel Association, he has been interviewed several times and talked about the Dakotas and the expectation there several times this summer. And one of his quotes was really, "There's no question about it. The great outdoors, the rural regions are where people are going to go. I expect that Mount Rushmore, the Dakotas are going to get massive amounts of travelers." And he wasn't wrong when he made that prediction. Mount Rushmore's visitation is it was just 8% below last year. And in our region, we definitely have seen significantly less impacts than the rest of the nation. So what is some of the outlook for travel? I know there are a few $1 million questions that people are wondering. And one of those is that border reopening between the U.S. and Canada for recreational travel. So the Mexico-U.S. border opened on September 21st. We see a precedent there and some optimism. However, as COVID numbers surge in northern states and in the provinces, there is also that pressure to keep the border closed. So I have heard everything from businesses and Canadians pushing the government to open the border, especially prior to Black Friday. I've heard that to outlook that it won't open until there's a vaccine in 2021. There is an outlook that road trips will continue to outpace all other types of travel. Online searching and online booking is down, but what these online travel agents are finding is that travel is much more spontaneous. So people will have an open weekend, comfort with traveling that weekend, and they'll make those kind of more spontaneous long weekend trips. Sarah indicated those RV sales and purchases. RV sales were up 600% this year, and so those road trips and kind of that spontaneous trip really is expected to continue. And according to researchers, nearly 60% of American travelers do say they're ready to travel. But health and safety and trust have increasing consumer value. And we're seeing in a lot of reports that this focus on cleanliness in hotels, in restaurants, that safety, that personal space, access to hand sanitizer, touchless, like washrooms and purchase things, those things are going to continue to have consumer demand and consumer value. And the outlook for events is really good because as we're home and isolate a little bit more, it makes us even hungrier to get out and to be attending those events again. And so the outlook is really positive, and so there's some optimism there as I turn this back over to Sarah.
Thanks, Heather. So some of you are familiar with this, but I know we have new attendees, so I'm just going to quickly give you a history lesson on what happened after the outbreak. We mobilized, like everyone else, quickly on a lot of different fronts, which included updates on not only our website, focusing on not only travelers, but of course also the industry, informing them on changes and closures, etc. We also, as Heather mentioned, hosted weekly tourism chats. We were involved in a number of communication initiatives, including involvement in the JIC, national or business briefings. The national media was interested, and we responded to a lot of that, as well as heavy involvement with economic resiliency grants. We also worked with businesses in the tourism and hospitality sector to really define what Smart Restart looked like, to reopen those businesses or to continue to accept and welcome visitors in a safe way. And that included developing toolkits and marketing support. We pivoted to edit and produce advertising messages that would be sympathetic to the world health crisis. And spokesperson Josh Dumel jumped on and really helped us record a new audio to this video that I'm going to show you that really shows that the state, we were one of the few states that could do it at this point. And so this really kind of showed that, and this also ran in state because we wanted to build up our partners as well. So run that video.
This is Josh Dumel. This land has seen it all. And no matter what comes, it'll always be here. Uncrowded and welcoming you to travel North Dakota's wide open spaces. Because we will get through this together. Inspired at NorthDakotaLegendary.com.
So this really allowed us to have a larger share of voice in Q2, which brought us increased exposure to North Dakota as a travel destination. And we saw that with really positive numbers in intent to travel and booking numbers. That video had almost a 6 times the national average rate in terms of click-throughs. So we also pivoted and with the trends and some of them that Heather identified on staycations, closer to home, safecations, road trips, rural destinations, coupled with the need to really support those tourism businesses that were really hungry for revenue. We developed a new in-state campaign, which is new for us. Obviously, usually our work is focused on generating non-resident new revenue for the state. But we did this with a fully funded cooperative program to assist all of our communities and all of our businesses across the state. We also, while passenger numbers using buses, trains, and planes were diminished, some of our campaign was well underway prior to the pandemic, and we worked with vendors to really extend. They were great, liberal about extending the contracts and having them up longer. And our out-of-home impressions reached over 56 million in Q2 alone. So those were well received. Our digital campaign was also really powerful. This is just an example of kind of a website skin that overtook, some of the news sites that so many people were glued to as the pandemic evolved. Our total website traffic is at just over 1.4 million sessions, and we are 42% up year over year for website traffic. And I think we were actually even up more than that since the slide was done, so that's a good sign. Website traffic in our primary markets year over year has also been up significantly. You can see here, South Dakota, Nebraska, those markets that are really our bread and butter regional markets. So the next slide, does anybody have family in Kansas? Hello, Kansas. We need somebody to try and get those folks to come to our website. Kansas is the only state that we have not seen an increase from on ndtourism.com. So that's just great news. Our digital campaign, here you can see we repurposed some of our Canadian dollars. Obviously, with the border being closed, we repurposed those dollars, which gave us about a 25% increase in our digital budget, and that 25% increase yielded a 90% increase in year-over-year website traffic from the U.S. digital campaign. That was about 12 million unique people that were reached through the campaign, and 135,000 unique individuals clicked on our advertising. The U.S. digital campaign year over year was 94% up in terms of driving. So it was spot on, almost double the visitors to the website from that campaign. Our neighbors to the south showed amazing increases, as shown here in this slide. So South Dakota, visits from South Dakota from the digital campaign was up, almost 800%. Nebraska, 580%. So those are solid numbers. And also the click-through rate was really strong. So quality creative is only as good as the conversion, right? I mean, obviously the creative can change minds and inspiration, but our goal is to drive through that sales funnel. And so our click-through rate was 4 times the national average. So that just goes to show it wasn't just pretty pictures people were scrolling through. Video completions was also strong. 8.4 million visitors watched our video to completion. YouTube has been extremely successful. We've been extremely successful using YouTube, I should say, in reaching niche markets, which would include outdoor hunting and fishing specifically, where we also saw 3 times the average conversion rate. Our total digital campaign brought in 300,000 visitors to our site. This is where we could really inspire them to learn more, and then we could send them off to you, our partners, who have those experiences to offer. So overall, kudos to the internal team and also to our partners at the ODNI agency who really helped us fine-tune and make this campaign relevant in this past year. So our plan for 2021 is to continue an aggressive media spend. We want to keep our dollars at the same levels they have been previously. We know based on our previous research is that the way to improve image and awareness is to purchase it, right? We have to tell people what we have. Our plan is to also use all the data sources available to us. And as that new data comes in, we will refine as necessary. So while Anna this morning on the data session did not have the time to go into all of the specifics, that data is much deeper than that and provides us insight into what specific mediums produce better than others, better results, what creative as well worked better. And so we will be looking at that and spending some additional time on that. We also need to focus on our cash cows. You know, what is that bread and butter market that will get us the fastest return on investment and support those businesses that we know are really struggling? We need to be open to opportunities as well. We know media are evolving, right? There's mergers, there's acquisitions. Unfortunately, there's closures like in every other sector. But that can afford opportunities for new innovative approaches and also, good bargains to be had. So we will be very open to that. And then we also have a optional budget request that is currently being reviewed by the governor and team. This includes a major increase in our budget for 21-23, which we're hoping will come to fruition. That includes increases in the paid media because, as we saw this morning, that is a good way to help us elevate all of those areas. It will provide us dollars for. We've also asked for dollars to upgrade our website, which hasn't been redone for almost 7 years, and add some new, stronger technology pieces into that as well. And then securing national media coverage is another goal of ours, as well as improving the visitor services across the state. So that's our plan going forward. Our 2021 creative will continue to showcase the rich outdoor experiences that we have. As things become, more open and safer, we'll continue to weave in some of those amenities. We know people still need hotels and restaurants and retail and festivals, right? Everyone's craving that pent-up demand. So we'll be attuned to when those messages will be better received as we go forward. So this year we will stay focused on our primary markets. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, hopefully Saskatchewan and Manitoba will come on soon, as well as South Dakota and Nebraska. Again, the research will drive some slight shifts, maybe shifting a few dollars away from Minneapolis and elevating Nebraska based on some of the numbers and the research that we saw this year. We know there's pent-up demand in Saskatchewan and Manitoba, so hopefully we can capitalize on that as well. This morning, the research study showed us that our image and awareness is improving, but we are still not a well-known state. The best way for us to improve that awareness is by using a variety of media. So we continue to use a solid media mix as a way to improve awareness and interest in the state. This, too, was adjusted slightly, providing a little less on television and a little more on editorial print, because that's where we can tell that broader story, especially as people are really interested in rural and the amenities and the lifestyles associated with that. We believe that'll be a compelling way to drive not only visitors, but hopefully longer-term relationships with those consumers. Our digital spending, too, based on the solid results that we had, will be up slightly as well. So looking forward, our next slide shows the new and innovative options that we'll continue to look at. So we're looking at more print, new print. We know people have more time, they're leaning in more, they want to understand more as opposed to just be bombarded. So we're looking at new titles that we haven't used for a while, like Travel and Leisure and Artful Living, Community Lifestyles and Wild West. We're also looking at digital rich media multi-screened. This will provide us, again, some opportunity to augment the television campaign. We'll also add some new native, which is that longer format digital placement that will, again, allow us to tell that bigger story. And then we'll have some additional regional outdoor media. We do intend to add some additional elements to the plan, and we're reviewing some great creative options for brand activation and events that might include, some road rallies and different events that we're looking at. Some super fun stuff. And again, we don't want to commit 100% because we need to have some flexibility as we're going into the winter and waiting out what happens this winter. So I'm going to now bring Heather back up, and she is going to kick off the staff presentations and talk a little bit about our creative approach for 2021.
So cooperative opportunities, that's usually when we're presenting our our plan for the year ahead. It's one of the options that we kind of have some deadlines on and some timelines. And this year we had plans for a direct mail postcard into Canada. We had some Canadian advertorial, some different things that were part of the plan that we changed up in order to shift those dollars closer to home. We knew that travel was going to be sort of like the throwing the rock into the pond, and those ripples would go inward out and or from out. And so the in-state cooperative advertising campaign was just really successful. And so what are we planning on doing next year? Well, our mission is still to inspire travel to North Dakota and be a funnel for visitors down to those destinations where they can book the trip. And so we do plan to have a cooperative advertising plan and options that are regionally targeted and help funnel that interest in those visitors. We don't have a co-op sheet for you to fill out and turn in and reserve that spot today, because as Sarah mentioned, we are staying ready to pounce on the best possible deal for the state of North Dakota. So there are a lot of options on the table that are continuing to be vetted out right now and negotiated, because some of those deals we fully expect them to be heightened and best following the election. And that's really just because there's so much media demand and media purchasing that happens right now. We do intend to also retain the North Dakota travelers, retain that North Dakota share of voice through collaboration with our longstanding partners at the North Dakota Newspaper Association and North Dakota Living, which has long been a partner of ours with our travel guide and our hunting and fishing guide. And we will continue to provide digital platforms that really amplify our brand message. And that's the background behind and really the key power of cooperative advertising. We know that, North Dakota, compared to our competitors, has a smaller budget. We know that all of our DMOs also struggle with a little bit of a smaller budget. But when we collectively are promoting the state of North Dakota, we just get that share of voice and the message to get a little louder. But one of the areas that you can really pounce on right now is through ndtourism.com and our e-news. So Sarah mentioned our website traffic year to date is up 42%. This is very powerful. We know that this is a qualified visitor that's coming to our website. They're already interested in North Dakota. We're looking for ways that we can close the deal. So Miles Partnership, which has been our partner with our website and our subscriber e-news for 7 years now, they are running a COVID recovery campaign. And so this is a one-to-one match offer. If you say, for instance, you want to buy 100,000 impressions on our website, they are going to completely match that. We're going to have the details of this plan. They've got a really nice co-op plan. We're going to have this on our website later today, and details about that. We're going to include some information in our next industry newsletter. But this is a great opportunity for you, not just looking ahead to 2021, but also right now. And more details on that to come. And I'd like to introduce Tricia Miller, who is our digital systems manager, who's going to tell you a little bit more about how you can optimize on the website.
Awesome. Thanks, Heather, and good morning, almost afternoon to everybody here. And kind of just to reiterate what Heather and Sarah have said, and the importance, because our website traffic is at 42%. And we want to help spread that word of what there is to do and see in all of your communities. And so I just want to touch briefly on our partner access. We launched this last March an update to our partner access platform. And just want to throw a little note out there that if you have forgotten your login information, to please contact Scooter Persley or myself. Our email addresses are there on the screen. And if it is your first time logging in, to enter in your items and your listings and your business notifications, please log in to change your password by going into your Manage Profile area, and it's underneath Update Credentials. All right, next slide. Yep, thanks, Heather. Okay, so some of the things I want to bring up to your attention within your listing that's very important. Some key items: when you're entering your business information name, input your full business name. Avoid being vague because it can cause some confusions. Avoid using some personal emails. Rather use a generic company email on those connections in case somebody leaves your business, that you have a generic email for contact. Within the website listing, we suggest not using your social media link on there rather than an actual business website URL. We'll get to the social media listings down a little bit further. Again, with phone, another very important thing is to use a business telephone, not necessarily a personal contact telephone number for an employee of your business. Another thing that's really important is your descriptions. Do not enter info that could date your listing. Do not put names of employees that are subject to change for your business. Always encourage, repeating information for different sections of your listing. Contact information, again, within the description. Also, amenities. You can place them in your description, but there is another area within your listing to make sure that you're keeping those within that amenities section. All right, again, those categories are super important. That's what fields it throughout our website by what type of category, and that would allow your business location to be listed throughout the ND Tourism website. So please be cognitive when you're clicking up your categories. I think you can have up to 10 different categories that you click, and it's literally just by clicking on your mouse onto that specific category. Photos and having those graphics are super important. Make sure they're appealing and they're going to be engaging. We recommend not placing text on your photos, as it may cut off when the site is rendered. So try avoiding that when all possible. And then just remember that your photos must be larger than 640 pixels wide and 480 pixels in height. And they should not be larger than 15 meg, and they must be in a JPEG format. Again, social media section, like I mentioned earlier, this is where you should be entering in your Facebook links, your YouTube links, your Pinterest, whatever they might be. You only copy and paste what comes after the backlash in your section for there. Okay, and I just want to pass on, before I pass this on, really short and sweet, but with the outlook on events being positive, we really, really want to encourage all of our partners to list the events that are taking place on our website, and we will be certain to share those out via social, things to do, press releases. That's the best part of all of this is free. So we really, really encourage you guys to go out there and list your events and let us help you advertise. So with that, I'm going to pass this on to Kim.
Hey, Tricia, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for that. And again, I'm Kim Schmidt, Communications Manager here at Commerce, and I have the privilege of pitching and telling your stories each and every day. Our 2020 Influencer Program was very successful this year. We hosted 8 influencers that absolutely fell in love with North Dakota and can't wait to come back again. They did an amazing job showcasing our uncrowded spaces, friendly destinations, and robust experiences, and most of all, they did it safely. Between all 8 of them, they spent about 50 days traveling the state, capturing content to populate 569 posts, inspiring future travelers. You know, if you get a chance, be sure to take a moment just to read some of the comments on these posts, as many are both uplifting and just really plain good for the soul. We've already reached about 11.6 million and continue to see new posts, including bonus content from several of these influencers that, as I'd stated earlier, are just really anxious to come back and visit North Dakota. Next slide. So the value of travel influencers continues to grow, with Adweek estimating the market to be worth about $10 billion by the end of the year. According to Vendasta, 92% of travelers are influenced by online reviews, and if a travel influencer does a great job, they're essentially providing their audiences with rave reviews that get people engaged with your destination and excited about what you have to offer. That said, if you take a look at this, we have laid out a plan where we will once again do the vetting, the selection process, and itinerary planning to showcase your destination along with a tiered budget structure for 2021. So take a look at the plan. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any additional questions. Watch for more information and how we can work together later this year. And with that, I will pass it on over to Alicia Jolliffe, our social strategist, who's going to talk a little bit about some of the upcoming social media opportunities.
Hey guys, so yeah, like Kim said, my name is Alicia Jolliffe. I'm the social strategist at Commerce. We run quite a few accounts over here, but we're going to focus strictly on our heavy hitters, which is our tourism accounts. So if you do have a social presence out there, which I hope all of you do as destinations or businesses, here's a few tips that we can help engage with each other. Using the ND Legendary or BND Legendary hashtag, interacting with each other's content is really good for social algorithms. They will pump your stuff in front of more people if we are interacting with each other. And with our large accounts, we most of the time track by hashtags or getting tagged in these. And so we try and interact as much as we can with our partners. And it's just a way for us all to showcase North Dakota a little bit more effectively and get more eyes on our stuff. Another thing is that we have a little example there of the gallery at the bottom. That's called a crowd riff gallery. That's a new tool we've been implementing into our website, which has been really great for showcasing some of this UGC, which is authentic experiences posted by other people. And it's super effective content. Reports show it's about 42% more effective than branded content. So we're trying to put this stuff everywhere. And if we can find your stuff, we want to share it on our content on the site that represents you. So another benefit. And then one more thing, just to mention what Tricia said about partner access. We want to also get your events on our social pages. So a lot of the time we'll cross-reference partner access to our Facebook page. We'll go and we'll try and find the event, bring it up to our page, and have it there for all the eyes to see. Or if your event has multiple days, list us as a co-host. And then it'll also show up to our page, because we like to think if you are trying to get people to your town, we are technically co-hosts as the North Dakota Tourism Agency. So next slide, please. So this was a big year for social. I'm sure we've all seen reports of how much people are on social more than they used to. I looked it up, and about 56% more people are showing or are reporting that, yeah, I'm using social media a lot more during the pandemic. And we've seen that across our social profiles and also in our campaigns. So actually our 2020 co-op isn't even fully done. We're still working with a few partners. But here are some success stories of how 2020 has performed so far, which I've personally been super happy with. So this is with a $250 budget. you're able to use North Dakota's audiences to generate traffic to your website. So for $250, our average amount of link clicks, oh, and I should mention, we're just for simplicity's sake, we're just focusing on website traffic right now, which is, I'm sure as you picked up from this presentation, a very important metric for us. And a lot of our partners feel the same. So we're focusing on just our website traffic. So we had an average of 893 link clicks. About half of our campaigns that we run so far have actually broke 1,000. And maybe some of them, I remember, I'd even got it up into 1,700 link clicks, which is astounding for a $250 budget. The average reach and average impressions for these kind of campaigns, about 30,000 and 70,000. If you've run social campaigns before, when you're running a website traffic campaign, it is not optimized for reach and impressions, but I thought it was important to showcase, since these are metrics a lot of people understand, that's what you'll kind of see. And then one of the best ones is the cost per click. How much is this going to cost us per action? 41% is the average, which is about 34% cheaper than the tourism industry hospitality average, which is, I think, about 66 cents. So, I mean, across the board, we've been telling you how, travel interest in there's interest in North Dakota, and we're seeing that on social too. So next slide, going into 2021. We're going to expand this to our other platforms. We have focused mostly on Facebook and Instagram since that's where we see most traction. But we are going to throw in Twitter and Pinterest where we've done limited social campaigns, but where some of our partners might have seen some real success. So we're going to expand that. We've also learned a lot this year through our social campaigns. So we're going to be tweaking some things to make it more effective, or at least we hope will make it more effective. But stay tuned on that. We're still working through it. And after that, that's my social speech. So I'm going to hand it off to Deanne.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being here. March, what a month, huh? 36,000 motor coaches, school buses, intercity transportation went to a screeching halt. However, the industry did not die. They rolled up their sleeves and they revved up their engines and they moved on. So American Bus Association, National Tour Association, and United Motor Coach Association joined forces for their government policy and affairs. They aligned with some of the public and private leaders. They have called on Congress to act for COVID relief, but this industry is sustainable and it is still going strong. What they've done for 2021 and 2022 is they have changed up their membership fees, reduced them, given members either 2-for-1 opportunities. They're hosting a lot of webinars and discussions about the future of travel and tours in groups. And they have adapted a lot of their virtual trade shows and also postponed for a later time and date. So product development. This is what I've heard from a lot of the people that have been on these discussions weekly. We've talked about product development. They are looking now. They are going out and experiencing new areas, untapped regions that they've been to. They are looking for new activities, new events, local, foods, fun, activities, everything like that. So that's what they're looking for, and they're doing it right now. Also interesting is that some of them have already started doing some tours. And of course, it's with protocols in place, and it's not a full motor coach, but they are doing some of these tours, which is pretty good. A lot of them that have canceled the tours for 2020 have stated that what they're going to do now is just carry those over to 2021. So that's a good thing for us here in North Dakota. And then what we can do right now, I know that you just heard about partner access and you just heard about all the social media and that kind of stuff, but that's where they're looking right now. Our tour operators are checking out our websites. And I suggest if you have anything new, anything at all new, you are the eyes and ears for us. Let us know so we can help promote that. But get your information out there in partner access. If you have a special event and 3 years out what date that is, please get it out there. That's all I'm asking. Thank you so much for being here. If you need anything from me, you know how to reach me. Next up is Mr. Fred Walker.
Thank you, Deanne. 2021 is slated to be a great year for international guests visiting North Dakota. The United States is a much sought after destination for travelers, and the pent-up demand is at an all-time high. Knowing this, the 5-state Great American West Consortium has continued to stay active and will remain so in the 5 European markets of the UK, Germany, France, Italy, and the Benelux region. North Dakota is going to be leading the charge in the Nordic market, and along with Idaho, will continue to work the Australian and New Zealand markets. Staying active in the overseas market continuously is key to our promotional plans, and North Dakota is in the spotlight because of who we are, what we have, and where we are located. So what are we planning for 2021? The first bit of good news is that we're keeping the Great American West guide for the upcoming year with Jason and Darren from MHA Tourism on the cover. These are going to be used in all 7 of our markets. Also, we'll be investing heavily in tour operator cooperatives, staff trainings, and seminars. We're taking this time to educate the tour operator staff, train the travel agents, and support the tour operators on our products they carry. Media partnership and social media programming will be more important in this coming year too. We need to educate the general public along with the travel industry as to what we have here for their travel plans. We still have a few overseas consumer projects, press trips, and a sales mission late this spring, which may become virtual if travels is not fully open yet. So keep your eyes open, ears open, I'll let you know. What do we need to make these programs successful? 2021 hotel and other admission rates are critical right now. And nearly as critical are the 2022 rates, as some travelers are already rebooking for 2022 so they can avoid rescheduling once again. So please keep your websites up to date, use partner access, share information with us. Unique attractions and lodging and all activities are key to your success in 2021. Keep creating the experience, share unique finds, places, and overnights. Have any questions? Drop me an email. Again, Fred Walker, I'm going to turn it over to Mike Jensen.
Thanks a lot, Fred. So outdoor recreation and getting outdoors right now is really hot right now. People are connecting mental and physical health and well-being with getting outdoors in a way that we haven't ever really seen. Visitors keep asking us if we are open. Remember that outdoor recreation is one of the only non-essential activities that was never subject to a mandated confinement in North Dakota, and getting outdoors is now widely considered essential. Next slide. So COVID-19's impact on outdoor recreation was relatively low. Just 34% of outdoor enthusiasts were not able to participate in outdoor activities due to pandemic restrictions. Compare that to 70% of team sports. Hiking had some of the highest participation rates pre-pandemic and saw the largest nationwide increase of any outdoor activity this year, growing 8.4%. Total year-to-date North Dakota fishing license sales are up about 12.4% as of last Friday, and in that we saw a 7.5% increase in non-residents alone. We're seeing really positive trends in the hunting seasons as well. More non-residents are buying licenses early, and special seasons like the early Canada Goose season saw a jump of over 1,000 licenses, up almost 80% over 2019. As of last Friday, the year-to-date 2020 non-resident small game license sales that include pheasants are up 22%, and waterfowl sales were up over 5.5%. And remember that 20,000 more residents have fishing licenses at this time this year than had them last year. So what other leisure outdoor activities are hot right now? Well, if you've gone into a bike shop and tried to buy a bike or a kayak in the last couple of months, you'll notice that it's a little thin. Bicycle sales were up 63%. Kayak sales, or paddle sports sales are up 56%. And many of those sales could have been higher without manufacturer delays because of COVID-19. We saw an increase in golf equipment up 51%. We saw camping equipment go up 31% as consumers were desperately in need of a change of scenery. And we also saw a 22% increase in binoculars. We attribute that largely to birding. And so we're seeing a resurgence of birding right now. These outdoor enthusiasts mostly use this equipment locally, perhaps in their yards or at local destinations. So now they're very well equipped and they're looking for new places to try out their new activities that they learned during the pandemic. Next. So what can we do? So social media, influencers, podcasts, live feeds, a lot of things for us are going to be what you can do right now. We need to illustrate openness without pandemic restriction and safe alternatives to other destinations that will resonate and motivate. Hunting season isn't next year, it's right now. Like hunting season starts this week. So if people can't take that fall Canadian fishing trip because of a border closing, we're the next best thing. And we need to tell them that. If you can't take that annual Midwest hunting trip that you've always taken, they can come to us because we are open. So we need to get that out to people, and we need to take some of our local personalities. If anybody has any hunting or fishing personalities in their communities they want highlighted, we can do that. If you have any influencers in mind that you've worked with in the past that may come back, we'd like to work with you. Next slide. And so at this point, one of the things that we are doing is we are planning on exhibiting at 4 outdoor sport shows next spring. Sioux Falls and the Northwest Shore in Minneapolis were rebooked from last year's cancellations, and Chicago and Madison offered us recovering pricing that I really couldn't refuse. So, and we kept our spot in those shows. We didn't go onto a waiting list. So I've gotten communication from all of those shows that it's full speed ahead. They really want to hold those shows. So we're booked into them, and we're going to try to go next year. So partnership sign up is not yet available. Watch for the tourism newsletter, and I'll let you know when that is available. And now we're on to Sarah.
Yes, back to me to kind of wrap it up. We've got about 4 minutes left. I know that many of you may have seen the U.S. Travel's Let's Go There campaign. We've been using that for the last month and have actually been called out as a good example of how to integrate that. One of the advantages of this, again, is the national notoriety. They've put money into marketing this, and while some states like California have had to add the caveat soon, we are really a place that's blessed with that uncrowded adventure, where we can really invite visitors to follow their curiosity, now, and not the crowds. And so that's been a great addition. I want to just do a couple quick plugs. Our next tourism chat will be November 2nd at 2 p.m. If you're not on the invite list for that, please reach out to Heather and she'll make sure that you get a team invite. Also, our travel industry conference is scheduled for April 12th through the 14th in Bismarck at the Radisson. We want to be in person. We are the travel industry. So we have already thought about ways, and the Bismarck team is working on ways to make that safer. And we're very, very hopeful that we can see all of you live and in person in April. As you can see, our team has been working remote. We're kind of spread out. I'm in my office today, which isn't normally the case, but wanted to be assured I had a good signal for you all day today. But that doesn't mean we're unreachable. In fact, if anything, we're more reachable. We had the team on a team meeting, all the presenters at 8 o'clock last night. So if anything, we've gotten really bad about dividing the work-life balance isn't so great, but we want to be responsible to you guys and responsive. And so please reach out to any member of the team if you have any ideas on how we can help. So back in June of 2019, our staff planning session, I stole this line from last year's Medora musical: do what you can with what you have where you are. And who would have known, right? Who would have known how never, ever could this mantra be more fitting? We plan to carry it through 2021, and we invite all of you to do the same. So I thank you so much for joining us. I think we're at the end of the session, and I know everybody wants to jump on the closing luncheon keynote. So we did see some of the questions in the chat, and we'll be addressing all those. One of them I think we didn't address was, do non-residents have to quarantine arriving or leaving North Dakota? And those quarantines have been lifted. The travel quarantines have been lifted. So I think that's a no. So with that, thanks everybody. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Hope to see you in person real soon.